In a world addicted to stimulation, to instant gratification, and to the constant chasing of highs, the path of the warrior is misunderstood. People often imagine a warrior's life as dramatic, intense, and heroic. But the truth is, the warrior's life is boring, and that is exactly why it works. Boring does not mean meaningless. It means structured, repetitive, deliberate. You see, a warrior does not wake up each day waiting for motivation to strike. He wakes up and follows the path, regardless of how he feels. It is not the emotions that guide him, but the discipline. He trains when it rains. He trains when the sun is shining. He repeats the same moves again and again until perfection becomes his nature. There is no addiction to novelty, no craving for applause, only the silent pursuit of mastery. That is the secret. In boredom, there is focus. In repetition, there is refinement. In silence, there is growth. The warrior's mind is calm because his actions are clear. He knows a boring life filled with purpose is far greater than an exciting life full of distraction. And when the storm comes, he is ready. Because while others were chasing comfort, he was preparing. While others were entertained, he was building. The warrior's life is not loud, but it is strong and unshakable. One of the greatest misunderstandings in modern life is the belief that growth only happens through variety, that we must constantly do new things, seek new challenges, and consume new experiences in order to evolve. But in the life of the warrior, this is not how mastery is cultivated. A true practitioner of discipline understands that repetition is not the enemy of progress. It is the path to it. Just like a blade becomes sharper through the same motion across the whetstone, the warrior becomes stronger by returning again and again to the same movement, the same breath, the same form. Repetition is not boring. It is sacred. It is how the mind and the body align. It is how skill sinks from the surface level into the bones. When a warrior trains a punch, he may do so 10,000 times. To the onlooker, this seems unnecessary, even dull. But what they fail to see is that the warrior is not simply training the punch. He is training his awareness, his focus, his patience, his humility. Each repetition is an invitation, not just to repeat, but to refine, to listen closer, to observe more deeply. The first few hundred times may be about getting the movement right, but after that, the real training begins. Then it becomes about consistency, about breath control, about eliminating wasted effort. It becomes a study of stillness inside movement. That's when the repetition stops being mechanical and starts becoming transformational. Modern culture does not celebrate this kind of quiet commitment. It celebrates results, medals, trophies, loud announcements. But the warrior's victories are silent. They are earned in private long before they are seen in public. You see, repetition is like water dripping on stone. It is gentle, subtle, and slow. But over time, it leaves an indelible mark. Many want quick results. They grow restless after a week of training. But the warrior is different. He knows that repeating the basics with full attention is more powerful than chasing the advanced without foundation. He is not seduced by shortcuts. He trusts in the process. For him, mastery is not a destination, it is a relationship with the path. And that relationship is built through the rhythm of repetition. The true power of repetition is not just in technical improvement. It is in who you become through it. When you show up every day, when you return to the same technique, the same form, the same breath work, you begin to develop inner qualities that no book or motivation speech can give you. You develop patience because progress cannot be rushed. You develop discipline because consistency is a choice you make each day. You develop humility because you realize that no matter how long you train, there is always more to learn. Repetition wears down the ego. It removes the illusion of control. It teaches you that excellence is not born in moments of inspiration, but in long stretches of deliberate practice, where nothing seems to happen but everything is changing. So yes, the warrior's life may look boring to others, but within that boring life lies a secret. The extraordinary hides within the ordinary. The same kata, the same stance, the same breath, again and again, until it is no longer something you do. It is something you are. Repetition creates identity. Repetition builds mastery. Repetition transforms action into art. We live in a time where emotions are worshipped. Follow your passion, they say. Listen to your feelings, but feelings are unstable. They rise and fall like the wind. One day you feel inspired, the next you feel tired. If your actions are dictated by how you feel in the moment, your life becomes inconsistent and unpredictable. The warrior understands this. That is why he does not rely on emotion to begin his day or complete his task. He relies on discipline, a conscious commitment to action, regardless of the mood, regardless of the weather, regardless of the circumstance. Where others wait to feel motivated, the warrior acts out of purpose. Discipline is not cold or emotionless. It is clarity in motion. It is the internal decision that this must be done, and therefore it will be done, whether it feels good or not. The warrior knows that some days the body will be sore. The mind will resist. The comfort of rest will whisper, but he also knows that feelings are temporary visitors. If you bow to them, they will rule your life. So instead, he greets them. He acknowledges their presence, and then he moves forward anyway, because in the long term, it is not how you feel that determines your destiny. It is what you do consistently. Discipline is the quiet force that builds that consistency, brick by brick, rep by rep, day by day. Most people think they are free when they do what they feel like doing, but the truth is the opposite. You are only free when you can act beyond your feelings. If you can only train when you feel motivated, you are a prisoner of your mood. If you can only eat clean when you feel inspired, you are enslaved by your impulses. The warrior has learned to stand above that, not by denying emotions, but by not obeying them blindly. He has built a structure, a rhythm, a code, and he follows it. Whether the sun rises bright or the skies are filled with storms, he shows up, because the deeper purpose is more important than temporary comfort. And that is the true strength of discipline. It makes your actions reliable, even when you are not. It becomes the steady hand when your emotions tremble. It becomes the compass when your mind is lost. And over time, this reliability becomes your identity. You are no longer someone who tries, you are someone who does what must be done. This is how warriors are forged, not through grand moments of glory, but through hundreds of small decisions made in silence. The decision to train even when tired, the decision to focus even when distracted, the decision to move even when afraid. That is what separates the warrior from the wanderer. Not more talent, not more motivation, but more discipline. In the modern world, boredom is treated like a disease. The moment silence arrives, we rush to fill it with music, screens, noise, or distraction. But the warrior sees boredom differently. He does not run from it. He does not fear it. He recognizes it as a necessary signal that structure has taken root. The warrior's life is not designed for entertainment. It is designed for efficiency, clarity, and growth. The routines may seem repetitive. The schedule may appear rigid, but it is within that very rigidity that strength is formed. When the day is already structured, when the training time is fixed, and when the actions are decided in advance, boredom will naturally arise. And that boredom is not a sign of failure. It is a sign that your path is now being carved deeply and consistently. You must understand, structure is the enemy of chaos, and chaos is exciting. That's why most people prefer chaos, jumping from one task to another, shifting goals, constantly changing direction. It feels stimulating, but it leads nowhere. The warrior trades short-term excitement for long-term alignment. His structure is not built to impress others. It is built to tame the mind. When the same habits are followed every day, when the same meal is eaten, the same meditation is done, the same drills are practiced, something happens. The mind starts to rebel. This is boring, it whispers, but that moment is crucial, because beyond that boredom is stillness, and beyond that stillness is transformation. When you break through the discomfort of repetition, you reach a state of flow where clarity and discipline rule. Without structure, life becomes reactive. You wake when you feel like it. You train only when you're inspired. You eat when it's convenient. And slowly, you begin to drift, pulled by external circumstances and internal emotions. The warrior avoids this drift by building a life of intentional structure. He knows his wake time. He knows what to do next. There is no endless debate or decision fatigue. This creates space, not less freedom, but more freedom. Because the essential decisions are already made, his energy is not wasted. And the greatest paradox is this: once you stop chasing variety and embrace structure, your inner world begins to expand. You find freedom not in having 1,000 options, but in choosing the one path that aligns with your purpose. It is important to remember, the warrior does not structure his life because he is rigid or uncreative. He structures it because he understands the nature of the mind. A mind without direction is like a sword without a sheath, wild, dangerous, and often self-destructive. Structure is not a prison, it is a training ground for the spirit. The very routines that appear monotonous to the outside world are sharpening the warrior's internal world. Day by day, he becomes more present, more focused, more deliberate. And yes, that life may look boring from the outside, but inside it is alive with awareness. It is stable, it is clean. And in this world of noise, that kind of quiet strength is rare and invaluable. In a world where everyone is trying to be heard, the warrior chooses silence. He is not interested in shouting louder or proving his worth through noise. Instead, he turns inward, seeking strength in stillness and power in presence. Silence is not emptiness. It is a space of awareness. It is in silence that the warrior listens to his body, to his breath, to his inner state. It is here that distraction fades and clarity arises. When the world is loud and restless, silence becomes a weapon. It allows the warrior to see through illusion, to cut through the noise of the external world and hear what truly matters. He does not waste energy reacting to everything. He observes, he reflects, he chooses his response, not from emotion, but from grounded understanding. This silence is not just around him, it is within him. It is a cultivated inner state earned through practice and patience. In silence, the warrior examines his own mind. The thoughts that arise, the impulses that try to take control, the fears that whisper in the shadows. While most people avoid silence because it forces them to face themselves, the warrior embraces it for the same reason. He knows that true strength comes from knowing yourself, your weaknesses, your patterns, your tendencies, and that knowledge cannot be gained in a noisy life. Only in quiet reflection can the mind become still enough to reveal its true nature. And when that stillness is found, it gives birth to a power that no chaos can shake. In martial arts, we often say, the calm mind moves faster. This is not a poetic idea, it is a lived truth. In combat, noise leads to hesitation. But a calm mind born from silence can respond with precision. The same applies in life. The warrior's silence is not passivity, it is not weakness. It is readiness. Like a mountain that does not flinch in the storm, he holds his ground while others panic. His strength is not in what he says, but in what he restrains. The ability to remain still when provoked, the ability to hold your energy when tempted, the ability to act only when necessary. This is power born from silence, And it is this silent discipline that makes the warrior so dangerous, because he moves only when it is time and never a moment before. Most people speak to feel powerful. They act loudly to be noticed. But the warrior does not need attention to feel alive. His validation is internal. His silence is a reflection of that security. He does not need to explain himself, nor does he chase approval. His path is quiet, but it is firm. He may walk among the loud and the frantic, but inside he carries a sanctuary of stillness. And in this sanctuary he gathers strength, not the kind that fades when things get hard, but the kind that endures, the kind that cannot be stolen, because it does not come from outside. It was built in silence, forged in solitude, and made unbreakable through reflection. In today's world, many are addicted to excitement. They chase adrenaline, novelty, and stimulation, believing that this intensity is the sign of a life well lived. But the warrior thinks differently. He knows that while excitement can be thrilling, it is also unstable, short-lived, and unreliable. What truly sustains a life of power and clarity is preparation. Preparation is not dramatic. It is often quiet, repetitive, and unrecognized by others. But it is also the most powerful investment a person can make. The warrior prepares not because something is wrong, but because he understands that life will test him, and when it does, the time for preparation is already over. His strength is not the result of spontaneous courage, but the result of long-standing discipline rooted in readiness. Excitement often leads people to overcommit. They begin with passion, with energy, with a spark. But when the journey becomes slow, or obstacles appear, that fire burns out, excitement fades, motivation dies, and in its place, doubt arrives. This is where the warrior stands apart. His actions are not driven by temporary inspiration, but by daily commitment. He trains not only for when things are going well, but for when they are not. He sharpens the blade when there is peace, so that he is not scrambling when the storm begins. He is calm under pressure because pressure is not new to him. He has rehearsed the struggle. He has lived through difficulty intentionally. This is the strength of preparation. It builds a reserve of power that can be drawn upon when others panic. Many people prepare only when forced to. They study the night before the exam. They learn patience only after a failure. But the warrior does not wait for a crisis to begin his growth. He trains in advance. His body is conditioned before battle. His mind is trained before chaos. His character is tested before temptation arrives. This is the way of foresight. And foresight requires humility, because it means accepting that you are not ready yet, that more work is needed. Most resist this. They want to feel ready now, without putting in the quiet hours. But the warrior does not deceive himself. He prepares not because he is weak, but because he respects the challenge ahead. He understands that strength is built in silence, long before it is displayed in public. There is no glory in preparation, no applause, no excitement. But that is where the transformation happens. It happens when no one is watching. It happens in the early mornings, in the disciplined repetitions, in the choices to delay comfort. And then when life delivers its inevitable trials, loss, failure, uncertainty, the warrior does not break. He does not panic, because he has already been there many times in his training. While others were entertained, he was building. While others rested, he was rehearsing. That is why the warrior is not surprised by hardship. He was expecting it. And when the world is chaotic, he becomes the one who brings order, not because of excitement, but because of preparation. And that is true strength. And so we return to the truth. The warrior's life is not glamorous. It is not fueled by excitement, nor driven by applause. It is built in silence, in structure, in repetition. Many will walk the path of simulation, chasing variety, chasing feelings, chasing attention. But the warrior walks another road, a quieter one, a steadier one. It may appear boring to the outside world, but inside it is alive with purpose, with power, and with peace. Because the warrior understands something most people never learn. It is not the intensity of one moment that shapes you. It is the consistency of 1,000 quiet choices. He does not need to feel ready. He does not need to be inspired. He simply shows up, day after day, step by step. And in doing so, he becomes unshakable. In boredom, he finds rhythm. In silence, he finds truth. And in preparation, he becomes the calm in every storm. This is the way of the warrior, and it works, not because it is easy, but because it is real.